So what do we want and how do we get it? I'll tell you what I want. I want a university president who's an educator first. If President Rudolph can retool, okay. If not, we need to find another president. We might look for someone like President Howard of Harvard, Drew Gilpin-Faust, and take a look at what Nancy Shepherd Hughes suggested, her recent September piece in the New York Times, titled "The University's Crisis of Purpose." She said we should remember that colleges and universities are about a great deal more than measurable utility. They embrace the long view and nurture the kind of critical perspectives that look far beyond the present. She quotes a former dean at York University in Canada. Higher education, he said, has the responsibility to serve not just as a source of economic growth, but as a society's critic and conscience. And Faust asks regarding the present economic collapse, should universities have presented a firmer counterweight to economic irresponsibility? Have universities become too captivated to the immediate and worldly purposes they serve? Has the market model become the fundamental and defining identity of higher education? I doubt if any administrator in the university system today could present such educational challenges. Second, I want a board of regents that's accountable and governors who respect the 1974 amendment to the state constitutions, which says regents will be able persons broadly reflective of the economic, cultural, and social diversity of the state. As it is now, the appointment structure for UC regents mirrors the classic political spoils system. Third, we need a governor with the vision of Pat Brown, one who understands the role of higher public education for California, and this should be central in the campaign for governor. Fourth, we need transparency. Where's the money going? We need 100 Charlie Schwartzes. Fifth, we need a faculty. We need a faculty more in touch with the people of the state. It's not the president's office that should be explaining us to the people of the state. We should be talking to the people of the state. Sixth, we need a chancellor like legendary President Hutchins of the University of Chicago, who got their regents to get rid of intercollegiate athletics. Not athletics, mind you, just intercollegiate, which has been documented as sabotaging undergraduate education. Just read Beer and Circus, written by Sperber of UC. And look at President Hutchins' speech to the undergraduates in 1940, who were madder than hell at him for doing this. He went in and talked to them for a half an hour about what intercollegiate does to undergraduate education, and they gave him a standing ovation. What president of a university can do that today? What is our role? Again, we need economists like Veblen or Galbraith. We need English professors like Chris Newfield and others. We need more deans like the Canadian George Fallis, whom President Faust refers to. We need Nobel laureates to do more than object. We need faculty to take general education seriously, faculty and their students to make the arguments. Money for education is a greater payoff than prisons in California. And we need anthropologists to compare the United States with Latin American and European countries where higher education is virtually free, in countries much poorer than ours, to connect the dots between war and the absence of money for education. Now, how do we do this? One immediate question is, stop the train, support the September 24th walkout. A second rather immediate is to make higher education central to the governor's race. A third is to reiterate the purpose of higher education as a public good by having a Berkeley town hall meeting for the people of this town. And 5, student fees should be connected to student debt and what that means for leadership in our country. And I want to end by just mentioning what hasn't been mentioned. Yesterday in the Washington Post, Business Section G, there was an article called "A Virtual Revolution is Brewing for Colleges." The article talked about the diploma mills and the distance learning that is coming back with a vengeance. Sociology 101, quotes, is taught all over the country. Why not have just one Sociology 101 for all the students in the country? More efficient, save money, you don't need all the other sociologists. You ought to read it. This is a challenge for all of us, writers, thinkers, students, taxpayers, on this debate about the autonomy of the university. Each era has its own form of dealing with the commoditization of higher education. But what Veblen said in 1908 is still valid. The distillation of the educational experience into discrete, reified, saleable packages of things. Syllabi, lectures, exams, barely reflecting what takes place in the learning process. The crisis is an opening for public debate. Thank you very much.